Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in life when the noise of the world fades, and a quiet truth finally rises within us, that the final and most beautiful chapter of our journey is not about pleasing others, but about returning home to ourselves. Imagine reaching an age where expectations no longer bind you, where opinions no longer control you, and where your peace becomes your greatest priority. If you've ever carried the weight of responsibilities, sacrificed your own dreams, or lived for everyone but yourself, then what comes next is the message your heart has been waiting its whole life to hear. When we reach the later chapters of our lives, something subtle but powerful begins to shift within us. The noise of the world, which once seemed so loud and demanding, starts to fade. The opinions people hold about us no longer echo as strongly in our hearts. The rush to prove ourselves slows down, and in that gentle quietness we begin to hear a long, ignored voice, our own. Old age is not a period of decline. It is a period of awakening. It is the time when life invites us to embrace ourselves with the same dedication with which we once embraced our responsibilities, our families, our careers, and our ambition. For decades, many of us live like candles burning at both ends, trying to keep everyone happy, trying to meet expectations, trying to hold everything together. But as we age, life whispers a sacred reminder, you matter too. And this is the phase when focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Throughout life, we often measure our worth by how useful we are to others. We forget that even the sun sets every evening without apology, resting so it can rise again. In old age, we must allow ourselves that same rest. Instead of worrying about whether someone appreciates us enough or visits us enough, we can choose to appreciate ourselves. Instead of trying to fit into others' schedules, we can fill our own days with purpose, joy, and peace. Focusing on yourself does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means reconnecting with your inner world, the one you may have neglected while running from task to task. It means discovering hobbies you once postponed. It means letting your mind breathe, letting your heart be light, and letting your soul be free from the pressure of being everything for everyone. There will always be people who don't understand your journey. There will always be relatives or acquaintances who say you should behave differently, give more, sacrifice more, or live according to their expectations. But remember, they are not the ones who lived your struggles. They are not the ones who carried your responsibilities. They are not the ones who stayed awake on long nights filled with worry, duty, or pain. Only you know your story. And only you have earned the right to write your final chapters the way you wish. As we age, our mental and emotional space becomes precious. So, protect it like a sacred garden. Remove the weeds of unnecessary worry. Prune away relationships that drain you. Water your mind with positive thoughts, gratitude, and contentment. Sit with yourself, talk to yourself, and treat yourself with compassion. After all, the world becomes a gentler place when we become gentler with ourselves. In old age, focusing on yourself also means detaching from the fear of being alone. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is a sanctuary. It is the place where you rediscover the person you were before the world told you who to be. It is the place where you realize that peace does not depend on how many people surround you, but on how deeply you embrace your own company. Do things slowly. Eat slowly, walk slowly, breathe deeply, laugh freely. Celebrate the small victories, waking up with gratitude, feeling the morning sun, hearing a kind word, completing a small task, remembering a warm memory. These are not ordinary moments. They are life's blessings dressed in simplicity. If you feel regrets, forgive yourself. If you feel unfulfilled dreams, bless them gently and let them go. You gave your best in the years when strength was abundant, and time seemed to run faster than your feet. Now the gift life offers you is the opportunity to truly live for yourself peacefully, purposefully, joyfully. Your value does not decrease with age, it deepens. You are not finishing your life, you are refining it. And in this beautiful stage, focusing on yourself is not about escaping others. It is about returning to the person you have always been, someone deserving of love, respect, rest, and inner harmony. And as you return to yourself, something remarkable begins to happen. The heart, which once carried the weight of countless expectations, begins to feel lighter. The mind, which once juggled responsibilities like a seasoned performer, starts to settle into a rhythm of peace. You no longer measure the worth of a day by how productive you were or how much you accomplished for others. Instead, you begin to value the quiet joys, the gentle reflections, and the comforting awareness that you are allowed finally to be enough for yourself. When you focus on yourself in old age, you learn to shift from doing to being. For much of life, we are taught that our identity is tied to our roles: parent, partner, employee, sibling, provider, protector. But as the years unfold, these roles evolve, fade, or pass on to others. What remains is the person beneath those roles, the real you. And this stage of life becomes the opportunity to reconnect with that person, to listen deeply to your inner desires without guilt or hesitation. Take time to nourish your emotional well-being. If something upsets you, remind yourself that you are not obligated to carry every stress the world presents. If someone disappoints you, remember that expectations are the biggest thieves of peace. If a memory from the past unsettles your heart, acknowledge it gently and let it float away like a leaf carried by a soft breeze. You deserve emotional freedom as much as anyone else, and age gifts you the wisdom to recognize which emotions to keep and which to release. In this phase, joy can be found in the simplest experiences: a warm cup of tea that you don't have to rush through, a quiet morning where the only sound is the chirping of birds, a brief walk under the open sky where the breeze seems to converse with you, a heartfelt conversation that brings laughter rather than stress. These moments, once overlooked, now become precious treasures, reminders that happiness was always within reach, just waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. Focusing on yourself also means allowing your body the care it deserves. You've spent decades pushing through tiredness, ignoring aches, and dismissing signs of exhaustion because duties waited for no one. But now listen to your body like you would listen to a wise friend. Rest when you are tired, move when you feel stiff. Eat not because it's time, but because it nourishes you. Treat your body as the sacred vehicle that has carried you through storms, celebrations, challenges, and triumph. It has served you faithfully. Now it is your turn to serve it with compassion. And then there is the mind, a landscape that shifts as we age. Some memories shine vividly, while others fade like whispers in the wind. Instead of fearing this change, embrace it with acceptance. The mind is simplifying, refining, and letting go of the unnecessary. Fill it with thoughts that uplift you. Engage in activities that keep it curious, reading, learning something new, engaging in meaningful conversations, or simply observing life with fresh eyes. Old age is not the end of learning, it is the beginning of learning peacefully. People may come and go more noticeably in this stage of life. Some will drift away because their journey takes them elsewhere. Others may remain, but their time and attention may lessen. Understand that this is the natural flow of life. Relationships evolve not because you're less important, but because everyone is walking their own path. Do not measure your worth based on how often people seek you out. Measure it by how deeply you honor yourself. When you stop chasing people, you start attracting peace. Being alone does not mean you are unloved. It means you have space to love yourself more fully. Sit with yourself in silence without fear. In that silence you will find clarity. You will find acceptance. You will find strength. You will realize that the person you've been waiting for all these years, the one who truly understands your struggles, your sacrifices, your dreams, and your pain, is you. Let your conversations with others be guided by truth, kindness, and calmness. At this age, there is no need to prove a point, win an argument, or hold on to pride. You have outgrown the need to impress. Speak softly, listen deeply, and walk away gracefully from anything that disturbs your peace. Not all battles deserve your energy. Not all opinions deserve your attention. Take pride in how far you've come. Every wrinkle tells a story of resilience. Every gray hair is a badge of wisdom earned through experience. Every scar is evidence that you survived what once felt unsurvivable. You are not merely older. You are seasoned, strengthened, and softened in the most beautiful way. Allow yourself to dream again. Dreams don't expire, they evolve. Maybe now your dreams are quieter. Dreams of serenity, joy, health, companionship, or simply a life free from pressure. Let these dreams bloom gently in your heart, without comparing them to the dreams of your youth. Life doesn't end when responsibilities lessen. It transforms into something gentler, more meaningful, and more authentic. And in this authenticity, you finally find yourself not the version shaped by obligations, but the version shaped by truth. The version that has walked long enough to deserve peace, loved deeply enough to understand compassion, and grown wise enough to choose joy. And as this truest version of yourself emerges, you begin to understand that life's later years are not about withdrawing from the world, but about engaging with it in a deeper, calmer, more meaningful way. You start to see that peace is not something to chase anymore. It is something to allow. It comes naturally when you stop fighting old battles, when you stop forcing what no longer fits, and when you start honoring your inner rhythm instead of the world's demands. You may notice that the heart, once pulled in many directions, now seeks simple contentment. It no longer craves validation. It no longer feels pressured to meet everyone's expectations or prove its worth through endless giving. Instead, it wants authenticity. It wants to feel light. And when you focus on yourself, you give your heart the freedom to soften, to breathe, and to experience life without the weight of constant responsibility. In these precious years, allow yourself the joy of rediscovering forgotten passions. Perhaps there was a hobby you set aside decades ago because life simply didn't give you the time. Pick it up again. Let your hands create something that brings you joy, whether it is writing, painting, gardening, stitching, singing, cooking, or anything that awakens your spirit. Old age grants you the gift of time, not the rushed time of youth, but the patient time of wisdom. Use it to reconnect with the parts of yourself that once whispered but were never heard. There is a calm kind of magic in waking up each morning and knowing that the day belongs to you. You can choose how to spend it without guilt or pressure. You can choose what to prioritize. Maybe rest, maybe reflection, maybe joy, maybe connection, maybe silence. This freedom is not a luxury. It is the reward for all the years you devoted to others. Embrace it without hesitation. As you focus on yourself, you also begin to cultivate gratitude in a more profound way. You notice the blessings that were always present but often overlooked in the rush of earlier years. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the familiar comfort of your home, the laughter in a memory that suddenly returns, the feeling of your favorite chair, the fragrance of fresh air after rain. These small miracles, once overshadowed by bigger urgencies, now shine with extraordinary clarity. And when you cultivate this gratitude, you begin to live your days with a quiet joy. You smile more easily. You forgive more quickly. You let go more gracefully. You begin to understand that holding on to anger or resentment steals the precious peace you have earned. Life becomes softer when you loosen your grip on everything that once burdened you. In this stage, you may also start to understand people more compassionately. You see that everyone behaved according to their own struggles, limitations, and level of awareness. You realize that holding grudges is like keeping old luggage in your heart. It only makes the journey heavier. So you release it not for them, but for yourself. And with that release, you reclaim a space within your heart that feels fresh and open once again. When you focus on yourself, you also begin to choose your company more intentionally. You no longer feel obligated to entertain negativity or endure draining conversations. Instead, you gravitate toward people who bring warmth, sincerity, and calmness into your life. Even if that circle becomes smaller, it becomes purer. You begin valuing quality over quantity, peace over noise, and truth over pretense. There is a beautiful clarity that comes with age, the clarity to see what truly matters. You realize that life is not measured by how many people praise you, visit you, or depend on you. It is measured by how deeply you feel content within yourself. It is measured by how peacefully you sleep, how softly you speak to yourself, how gently you handle your own emotions. Sometimes old age may bring challenges moments when the body feels tired or the mind feels clouded. But even in these moments, remind yourself that you have weathered storms far greater than this. You have carried loads that would have broken others. You have shown courage in situations where fear would have been easier. Trust in your own resilience. Trust in your own ability to adapt, to endure, and to rise stronger. Let your evenings be filled with reflection rather than regret. Look back at your life with compassion for the person you were, admiration for the battles you fought, and gratitude for the lessons learned. There is no need to rewrite your past. It shaped the wisdom you carry today. Let it be a tapestry you honor, not a burden you carry. And as you move forward, continue embracing each day with openness. Continue choosing peace over pressure. Continue nurturing the relationship you have with yourself. Because at this stage of life, the most meaningful journey you can take is the one inward, where you learn to love yourself not for what you did, but for who you have become. And as you deepen this inward journey, you begin to see that the true essence of life was never found in the noise, but in the quiet spaces within you. Those spaces that you were too busy to explore before now reveal themselves like hidden gardens, lush, peaceful, and waiting patiently for you to arrive. In these moments of solitude, you start recognizing how profoundly life has shaped you, not just through achievements and milestones, but through the subtler lessons, the setbacks, the heartbreaks, the responsibilities, and the countless quiet acts of courage that no one else ever noticed. You realize that each of these experiences has polished you, softened your rough edges, and deepened your understanding. And now, Focusing on yourself allows you to truly appreciate the person you have become. You no longer need the world's applause to validate your worth. The applause of your own heart becomes enough. As you walk further into this gentle phase of life, you begin to speak to yourself differently. Instead of being critical, you become kinder. Instead of dwelling on mistakes, you acknowledge the humanity behind them. Instead of measuring yourself against others, you measure your days by how peaceful you feel, how grateful you are, and how genuinely you are able to smile. This shift does not happen suddenly. It unfolds slowly, like dawn breaking over a quiet horizon. In this stage, it becomes easier to embrace the natural ebb and flow of life. Some days may be filled with energy while others invite rest. Some days may bring companionship while others offer solitude. Rather than resisting these fluctuations, you learn to move with them gracefully. You understand that life is not meant to be controlled, only honored. And as you accept this, stress begins to loosen its grip, and serenity becomes your new companion. Focusing on yourself also means allowing your thoughts to settle, like dust gently sinking to the ground. The mind, once cluttered with endless plans and worries, now finds space to breathe. You start to reflect on the meaning of true fulfillment. You realize it was never about accumulating things or impressing others. It was about learning to live authentically, to cherish what you already have, and to find meaning in the simplest of moments. You might find that your inner world becomes richer than ever before. Memories rise like gentle waves, bringing with them stories you had forgotten. Some memories make you laugh, some bring a tear, and some remind you of lessons you now carry with humility. Rather than clinging to them or pushing them away, you welcome them all, understanding that they are threads in the fabric of your life. As you move through these reflections, you begin to redefine strength. Strength used to mean enduring everything without breaking. But now, strength means allowing yourself to soften without fear. It means forgiving yourself, letting go of burdens you carried for too long, and acknowledging that you deserve rest. It means giving yourself permission to prioritize peace above all else. This is also the time when you begin to cherish the relationships that truly matter. You notice who brings ease into your life and who disturbs your calm. And because you now value your peace so deeply, you naturally distance yourself from negativity, drama, and unnecessary complications. You learn that it is not selfish to protect your well-being. It is wise. Your conversations become more intentional. You no longer waste words on arguments or debates that lead nowhere. Instead, you speak with warmth, gentleness, and sincerity. You share wisdom when asked, silence when needed, and presence when it matters. You understand that your energy is precious and must be spent with care. In these years, you also learn to appreciate the beauty of slowing down. You realize that life was never meant to be a race. It was meant to be a journey. And now, without the pressure of deadlines or demands, you can stroll through your days with awareness. You can savor your meals, relish your morning routine, and observe the world with childlike wonder. The same sun that once rushed you now feels like an old friend keeping you company. And as you focus on yourself, you begin to cultivate a deeper trust in life. You understand that every chapter had its purpose. You see how the dots connect, how relationships, choices, losses, and triumphs all shaped you into who you are. Even the difficult moments, in hindsight, appear as stepping stones that guided you toward wisdom. With this understanding, fear begins to fade. Fear of the future, fear of uncertainty, fear of change, they start losing their power. You learn to meet life with acceptance rather than resistance. You begin to trust that the same force that carried you through the storms of youth will carry you through the calm of your later years. You also discover that you are never truly alone. You carry within you a lifetime of courage, love, resilience, and experience. These companions walk with you every day. And as you nurture your relationship with yourself, you realize that self-love is not arrogance. It is gratitude for the life you were given and the person you became. In this phase, the heart learns to open again, not outward in search of approval, but inward in search of peace. And as it opens, a gentle truth emerges that the most meaningful gift you can give yourself in old age is the freedom to live exactly as your soul desires, unburdened, unhurried, and unapologetically authentic.